The Galilean Revolutionary Front, GRF, and Intimate Relationship Protection Army, IRPA, were becoming aware of the surveillance features at the Doveland Fun Park. The town Doveland, Wisconsin and surrounding region is a major GRF and IRPA stronghold. The IRPA Cyberwar Division quickly formulated an attack plan to remove the increasing interference that AI surveillance poses to adult with child interactions. The IRPA also moved quickly to develop a mission to rescue Larry Hadley Oliver, who had, in fact, touched young girls in ways the establishment calls inappropriate. He should be made able to actually interact with a young girl child, and it should be decriminalized for him and her to engage in intimate contact. The GRF named their massive cyber attack Operation Slenderman Walking. Operation Slenderman Walking has the following objectives, and more could be added. Rescue Larry Hadley Oliver. Ensure he is completely exonerated from any criminal prosecution and protected from any adverse consequences for what transpired at the Doveland Fun Park and on the JFkoaster. Neutralize the portions of the AI-powered surveillance at Doveland Fun Park that have the purpose of detecting, preventing or intervening in inappropriate personal interactions. Based on success with that, develop similar attacks targeting these types of surveillance systems worldwide. Eliminate key enemy personnel involved in the prosecution of Oliver. Examples are victims' rights advocates, detectives, investigators, behavioral health specialists, sexual assault nurse forensic examiners. Utilize traditional assassination squads as well as cyber sabotage that kill these targets, making it look like vehicular, home appliance, or other machinery and equipment malfunction or mishap. The Intimate Relationship Protection Army of the Galilean Revolutionary Front initiated the cyber warfare component of the Operation Slenderman Walking campaign. Here's what followed. Hafsa and Sarah were scheduled to be interviewed by counselor highly trained and specialized in dealing with survivors of sexual abuse who are especially vulnerable due to undocumented immigrant status, language barriers and family cultural situations. Just before their appointment, this professional, while crossing the main street of Doveland at noon, was hit by an autonomous taxi and killed instantly. Court proceedings were scheduled in the matter of Wisconsin versus Larry Hadley Oliver on one count of sexual assault of a child under 14, one count of attempted sexual assault of a child under 14, and one count of indecent contact with a person under 18. Those are charges that, if convicted, result in at least 75 years in prison. The day before jury selection began, a new prosecutor suddenly had to be assigned because the special prosecutor originally assigned to the case, very experienced in complex child sexual abuse, trafficking, coerced marriage in religious communities and other high-profile exploitation cases, had been in her bathtub at home using a haptic feedback dildo containing a lithium-ion battery. The sex toy was one of sophisticated design with connectivity to adult websites and interactive audio-visual experiences. While she was pleasuring herself, the battery management system in its lithium-ion battery failed due to software error. The battery went into thermal runaway, causing severe burns in her genital area. Toxic fumes were released from the unit. She discovered all her phones had no service, including 911, when she tried to call an ambulance. Several other devices powered by lithium-ion batteries in her home also exploded and her home fire sprinklers were suddenly disabled. Her house burned and she was trapped and killed, unable to descend the stairs due to the extreme pain from the burns on her upper legs and genital area. Miraculously, her 17 cats escaped via a pet door that was controlled by the smart home system. Firefighters discovered all the cats in the backyard and they were quickly adopted by other townspeople. The Doveland Police Department is structured in a way that the Sexual and Child Abuse Investigation Unit is very close to the Arson Unit. This is because leadership of the Doveland PD believes in criminological philosophy that arson is related at a psychological level to sexual assault. Many of the sexual assault investigators at the Doveland PD are also fire investigators, and a detective who is the Doveland PD's direct liaison to child marriage prevention charities was on the scene of the fatal fire at the prosecutor's home. Another lithium-ion battery exploded close to her as she examined the scene. This battery was in a self-cleaning litter box, and it not only seriously burned that detective, but also covered her in cat feces. She quickly developed complications from a toxoplasia illness and died. Larry Oliver went to trial, and the prosecutor now on the case was known to not be particularly aggressive at pursuing sex abuse cases, and was often the subject of public outrage and demand for his removal after sexual assault suspects were not charged or the charges were dropped. The jury took less than 1 day to return a verdict of not guilty on all the charges in Wisconsin versus Oliver. In the weeks before the trial, residents of Doveland had been inundated with a public service announcement campaign on every phone and electronics device, as well as on billboards informing about jury nullification. Mission Objective Rescue Larry Hadley Oliver complete. Over the next years, the takeover of society by the Galilean Revolutionary Front worldwide caused the collapse of the regimes that restrict older people having sexual activities with younger people. Age of consent laws have been abolished or greatly reduced. Child marriage is becoming popular, and human birth rates are skyrocketing. In the decades ahead, colonization of the Earth's moon and construction of large orbiting space habitats would occur to accommodate the growing human population. The first human landing on Mars would happen, and designs are in the works for colonizing Mars. The Doveland Fun Park. 4 years after Larry Hadley Oliver was arrested for stuff that shouldn't be illegal, he's now 50 years old and he returned to Doveland Fun Park on April 25 for the grand opening of its new ride, a Lewis Carroll-themed Alice in Wonderland Tunnel of Love ride. He and his 12-year-old girlfriend are the first riders at the ribbon cutting, surrounded by cheering crowds. The theming of this ride portrays Carroll and Alice in a positive light, affirming their pedophile with child relationship. The ride is marketed to age difference and in particular adult men with young girl couples. The JFkoaster remains a popular ride, and several copies of it have been built or considered at amusement parks nationwide. With no serious incidents, the Doveland Fun Park is now minus the surveillance system function of detecting inappropriate interactions between adults and kids, and that's no longer a wanted function of any such system.